right, I'd like to call in order the Water and Sewer Commissioners meeting for Monday, December 7th to order. Our first order of business is public participation, and I don't think we have anybody, or ain't no one that's gotten a hold of us on public participation at this point. Second part would be the building issues. Steve, you want to go over, do we have any?
We have one request from a homeowner who has brought up that issue that's come up from time to time. As you're aware, we charge for sewer usage based on their water consumption as metered. And periodically people will bring out that they're using a lot of water for irrigation purposes, and they feel that they should not be billed for that water usage. And right now we don't have a policy that allows us to do that. So, and we'd have to develop some means of differentiating between water used for irrigation and water used for domestic purposes, which is consumed and discharged to the sewer. And this kind of involves a number of different things. We need to have additional meters installed, and we would need to amend our rates, fees, and charges to allow it. And we'd also have to have a permitting system. And we'd have to have some routine inspection. So it's doable, but there'd be expenses involved, which we'd have to pass on to the customers. And it would also add some additional manpower demands for verifying that people aren't bypassing their domestic use meter and using the water meter for irrigation as water in their house to reduce their sewer bill. So,
The alternative is to put a well in. They do it themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Just as an amount that 8,000 cubic feet, 8,000, that's typical for irrigation? What sounds like that's a lot.
some people water their lawns a lot.
My goal is at least this high, this quarter.
Yeah.
So I water my lawn a lot. So,
I have a
but I-
sprinkler
you know, I
system
wanna
that goes on
bring-
every morning.
So,
Mine was that much, that's what you pay. If you want,
Yeah.
if you want your lawn to look like that, what do you pay?
The other thing that we have to take into account is, and I don't know if I could do an estimate based on summer versus fall water use, for example, and try and find out how much we're talking about for irrigation, because potentially this could reduce the basis upon which we build a sewer rate, which would mean an increase in the sewer charge to make up the difference.
Sure.
So this would be a benefit to people who do a lot of irrigating if we enact that policy, to the detriment of the people who do not.
So, how much, we get complaints, I don't think people who use irrigation don't complain, except for one or two people. So, I don't think it's worth the trouble to go through all that extra meters and all that stuff. They don't complain that much. You know?
Well, yeah, it's, it's, guess it's not unusual to get, you know,
It's been a couple of years since we've had.
yeah.
And if you do one, then you set precedents.
So,
So then anybody that complains, you're gonna wanna,
Yeah.
so if everybody's on board, I've entertained a motion to either approve or deny.
Do what?
Motion to either approve the request or deny.
I say deny.
I say tonight also.
A second. Okay, so Commissioner Green makes the motion and it's seconded by Commissioner McCarty. And all in favor?
Yes.
All right,
All right.
all right.
Any other billing issues?
No?
Okay, resolutions to re-levy delinquent water and sewer accounts to the 2021 taxes. Want to comment, Steve?
Well, we have, if I recall, it's about $700,000 this year.
705.
Yes. Which is, I think, actually a little bit less than previous years.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But re-levying this will ensure that we get the revenue that has been outstanding. And
Did they
it's-
pay interest on that?
yes, there are penalties.
I was just noticing, there's one street here that has several in a row that are doing this, I wonder if it's a neighborhood thing. You look at number 10, number 12, 14, 22, 28, 40, 42, all on one small street.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe all the neighbors decided it was a good idea. not to pay
There's
their
more,
bills.
there's 3 more on the other side.
Yeah.
Sounds like a neighborhood.
same way.
They can't legally deduct it, right? I think they can. Okay, so there's
Well, this is a user fee, and not a tax. So I'm not a tax professional. I try to stick to engineering when I can. But it's my understanding that being a user fee and not a tax, it is not tax deductible on your federal return. But,
I'll let the accountants figure it out.
yeah. But, anyway, this does include the penalties too. And,
Okay, so there's a resolution authorizing, is there a motion to add this to the bill?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
And B is to create a fund, capital project to cover the cost of 2021 wastewater treatment plant reconstruction projects, which include a new gravity plant, Thickener, and a new transformer. Go ahead, Steve.
okay, well, in past meetings, we have discussed the need to replace the dissolved air flotation thickener with a new piece of equipment. And in this case, we have an opportunity to replace it with one that will be mechanically simpler, will consume less energy, and will deliver a better product, better control, and a thicker waste-activated sludge, which will then be used to be watered further on our belt presses. The other benefit is that right now, we're using a secondary function on one of our belt presses to act as a gravity belt thickener. So we know the process works really well, but that ties that press up. And it means that if the other press is out of service, we can either choose between dewatering waste-activated sludge and thickening it, or dewatering sludge for disposal. So, and that could potentially put us in a bind if we only have that press available. So, like we said, putting in the gravity belt thickener will give us redundancy with our waste-activated sludge thickening and take some of the load off of our sludge dewatering operations. And it should be more energy efficient than the old flotation thickener, which is really not working right at all right now. It's got too many components that are too old. So, the other big ticket item that we're looking at here is a replacement of some of the transformers. And these are power distribution transformers that we have been monitoring for a number of years. We do chemical tests of the oil in the transformers, and we found that over time we're seeing more and more indication that the insulation is breaking down on the transformer coils, which means that they're heading toward eventual failure. So what we're looking at doing is bringing in a new or rebuilt transformer, and then shipping the old transformers out as like a core charge, like when you have auto parts done, so that we pay a lower cost for the new transformer. We'll get a little credit for that. Other than that, we're also looking at a couple of minor things, including we want to do some structural engineering inspection of the solids building storage bay, when we see some deterioration of the concrete in there. We have an estimate of the equipment costs, and we're including some money in there for soft costs, including some outside engineering and any financing costs we might incur. But I don't think there's going to be any of that to speak of. Outside engineering, yes. The funds for this would come from the reconstruction fund, and there's money in there that was put in to do this when it was eventually required, and now's the time. So I recommend that we create this project and use the available funds and proceed.
Do we have enough to cover the reconstruction?
Oh, yeah. We've got, I'd have to ask Mike exactly, but I believe we have several $1 million in there.
I thought something went over.
I think it's about $3 million.
So look for a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
So one thing that's not on here is we have to look at our warrant, the approval of the warrant.
Oh, yeah.
So is there any questions on the warrant? The warrant is in your,
Find it.
I was curious when, on page 2, right near the bottom, the signage, $1,500, $11,000 for the signage.
CS Northeast LLC, 1156, and
Just curious what
$1156 for signage.
Signage.
CES Northeast.
Well,
Watershed?
yeah, maybe a watershed.
I'd have to check into this. We got a couple of things that we're doing with signage. There was some informational signage to be installed at the rain garden or bioretention basin extension at Crandall Park. We're also,
Is it the COVID signs you had to pay the county?
that could be, I don't really know. So there's the COVID signs, which it could be, or it could also be some informational signs we're putting up at some flushing hydrants that we install.
That's curious.
So I don't know which offhand.
Get an
that
answer
is.
for you.
We can find that out.
Doesn't matter.
You got me on
Any other questions on the warrant? A motion to approve the warrant.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Yes.
All right. Discussion on status of current projects, Steve.
Okay. We got an update on Dix Avenue. Where are we? Okay. So far, they've worked on the sanitary sewer repairs. And we did that. We made a number of structural repairs to the sewer, replacing damaged or collapsing pieces of pipe. And then we installed some cured in place liners. We also cut in cleanouts on all of the sewer laterals on the street. And we're proceeding with the next step on that, which is to do a closed circuit TV inspection of the sewer laterals to see if they need repair or replacement. On the sewer repairs, we did have about a 30% increase in the amount of sewer that we had to replace, that we found as we were doing additional cleaning and TVing work. But you know, it had to be done, and now we can, you know, rest assured that the sanitary sewer on Dix Avenue will be in good shape for the rest of the time that most of us are here.
Until it gets paved, and then
So Steve, it's good all the way down to the city line?
No, no. What we did was we did the portion within this project, the
Platt.
instead of from Platt to Ridge.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's bad on the other part, but it hasn't been redone.
Is that on the radar, or is that?
Did we TV that?
We did TV from Platt to the city line this summer, and there were no obvious or apparent
Yeah.
And the water
areas
pressure was
that
good
were
down
really-
there. Because when we had the fire down there and the water pressure was good.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
Yeah. So next year they'll be working on some storm sewer improvements and separation work, and also doing some water main replacement there from Ridge out to
I think it's going to Uncas.
Ridge to Uncas, I believe. Yeah. We'll be taking out the 4-inch and 6-inch unlined cast iron and putting in a new 8-inch line ductile iron main.
What's going on with the trees on Dix Avenue?
We're gonna put some new trees in next year.
I've heard so many complaints about that.
Yeah, that's what happens when we have these transportation projects. And to be honest with you, Ron, I think that we have to look at that because the trees that are replanted usually die pretty quickly. So we gotta look at that because it's not good, I don't think. We've got a lot of these trees.
yeah, it looks like a barren wasteland out there now.
Yeah, well, that's gonna happen, but that's just a
Yeah.
requirement to do it. We have to take them down.
The unfortunate thing about it is that the trees that were there, while they were good-sized trees, they're actually most of them were past their prime, and a lot of them had a lot of problems with them, disease and rot occurring. So, in a perfect world, the city would be able to afford a forestry program where we would be routinely culling the diseased trees and planting new ones on a regular basis throughout the city.
So, now you brought that up.
Oops.
We actually have put out an RFP and we have responded to doing a tree inventory and to also come up with a plan. Because as a lot of you guys know, around the city, we had all these trees were planted many years ago and they've all matured at the same time and there's a lot of problems with them and some of them are diseased. And so we need to, instead of just doing it piecemeal, we're gonna take a look at the whole thing and have an inventory and then figure out a plan and then even a planting, come up with some kind of planting system so that we're replacing trees on an annual basis. So that's something that we're working at.
Mhm. So, and that's the secret, is to not plant all the same kind of tree, so that they mature at different rates, and so that they don't transmit disease quickly throughout the whole city. And to routinely work through so that, you know, you don't end up having to make a choice of cutting everything out or not.
So we're working at it,
Is there still a tree commission, or is that?
yes,
There is?
but it's been inactive during COVID. But as soon as we are able to have our meetings, we will, and obviously they'll be involved with the planning of the, you know, the new proposal that we got.
Yeah. So,
All right.
that project is most likely just gonna be on hold until April next year, likely time when we're gonna restart that. Other projects we have going on were listed in your agenda packet. Henry Street Pumping Station, Henry Street area improvements. We've gotten a 60% set of plans, and they were reviewed by Mr. Schneibel and myself, along with CT Mail. And we're ready to move ahead to a more complete bid set of documents now. Still some issues to be resolved and worked out, but we're making good progress on that. So we're hopeful that we'll have a set of construction documents ready by the end of this year. And then we'll send that in for approval and bid it in the early part of next year. And hopefully start construction on that next spring. And this includes a new force main to redirect the Finch paper wastewater to Warren Street, instead of having it go over to the Henry Street pumping station where it's pumped up again, which will take a good load off of that station. It includes a new force main for Henry Street, replacing one that's over 100 years old. And also routing that kind of so it doesn't run through the middle of the hospital campus. And a number of sewer repairs, storm sewer repairs and sewer separation in areas that are tributary to that station. Any questions on that?
That should eliminate that problem that's over by the hospital anyway,
Yeah.
going back up through there, because they're in construction all the time over there. It seems it's a wonder it hasn't hit yet.
Yeah. The Maple and Walnut Street project, we have 80% documents in for regulatory review, and they expect to have 100% of the complete documents ready before the holidays. And again, that'll be another project which we'll look to send out to bid over the winter for construction next spring.
Looks as though National Grid's completed what they needed to do over there. They pulled the crews out anyway,
Yeah.
hopefully. But
Yeah, they're pretty much done with a lot of their work, which was putting in a new medium pressure gas main to run through the city to serve areas north of us, and also to retire a lot of old piping in the city along that main.
So Steve, can you get a report from them about what they haven't finished yet, so that we have an idea? You know, it was very frustrating to look at Maple Street, you know, where we had paved
Sure.
that in two different segments, and then they came in and tore it up, you know, and Cooper Street's the same way, and there's a few other streets, but if they could give us more of an idea of what they got planned, I'm sure would be good. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And on the flip side of that, we we're gonna try to give them our paving plans for
Yeah,
the coming year.
well, we can give them our paving plans, but then they go, 2 years later, they come in and tear it up. I think we gotta do it the other way. They're more of a long-range plan. We're kind of by the seat of our pants when it comes to streets, is because, okay, that street needs it, we'll do it. So that's how we basically have done it over the years, and we really need to know what their plans are.
Yeah.
And we have multiple streets that this has happened.
Look at Ridge Street was a prime example that, I don't think they'd loaded the roller on the truck yet, they came over and started digging it up.
Yeah.
It was,
Well.
it was kind of.
In that case, they had a leak, so. That was not a
But look at
plan.
it now, it looks like, it looks like it did 20 years ago, so.
So anyway.
And some of us, some of us, you can't,
Right.
if the sewer line breaks,
If they have
what are you gonna do? You gotta dig
long-range
it up.
plans, we need to know what they are.
Okay, we'll pursue that with them.
Please.
Okay.
On our
Talked about
projects.
Dix Avenue. Bring up personnel matters.
Yeah, so are we all set on this now? Okay, yeah, go ahead with personnel.
All right. Well, as you're all aware, Mr. Glasheen has retired. And Mr. Miller, who was hired and worked under Mr. Glasheen's tutelage for a while there to become familiar with our facility, is now, for a while, been acting as chief operator. We're working with civil service to make sure that his test requirements are met for that position, but I think he's doing a good job. I think he's energetically pursuing a lot of issues that needed to be resolved, and he's got the plant running, and he's showing a fair amount of dedication, taking calls, perhaps too many calls at all hours of the night when things aren't going well. He's presented me with a plan also for improving maintenance at the facility, probably because he wants to be able to sleep all night.
Heard the rumors, nice.
Yeah. So, I'd like to recommend that the board consider appointing him to the position of chief operator.
I'll move the motion. Second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Congratulations, Chris.
All right.
Congratulations.
Now's your chance to run if you wanna run.
Yeah.
I should have ran 2 years ago.
Okay.
All right, we don't need an executive session.
No, we don't.
So, the next proposed meeting dates are December 21st for the workshop, and then on January 4th for our regular meeting of the Water and Sewer Board Commissioners. And with that, I'll look
One
for...
point of interest, if I could, I went over and walked the new Halfway Brook Trail the other day. It is functioning over there. They got some work left to do. Trail, part of it's all done, the bridge is in. And it was well attended over there.
Yeah, so they're gonna have a grand opening, and all of us will be invited and cut the ribbon and so
Right.
sometime, I'm not quite sure when.
But it was well done. For some reason, some of the gates were open. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I figured they were working.
I know they're still working on
It's in good
getting
shape.
that all.
It's nice. It's an easy walk. It's real nice.
Yeah,
But good.
Mhm.
So a culmination of several years of work.
Mhm. And when I was inspecting the work on a couple of occasions, the process all looked good. Erosion control work was in place.
Yep.
there's a lot
Yeah.
more signage that has to go.
Well,
Yeah,
there was no
yeah.
signage at all.
Yeah,
it's gotta go.
Signage, and we're working on the security gates as
Yeah.
well.
Yep, some of them were in. There's still some issues with one, road that goes through there, for the tree farming portion. And they blocked it off with rocks, and somebody brought it upon themselves to move the rocks to the side so they could get through there with a bicycle split. Other than that, I mean, it was well done. You can see there was some motorcycle tracks on. It's new. I think a lot of it will settle in, and people just need to be informed of what's going on. So, but it looked real good. It's nice. So, that's it.
Any other comments? Okay, then I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Sign this is one of the temporary easements for the Sanford Street.
Yeah.
So I went and got that.
Are you gonna notarize that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm a notary. I'll do it.
Okay.